The black-eyed children. I invited them. You need to promise me something before the story starts. No matter what happens, never try to contact them. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not role-playing. And I'm definitely not trying to sound dramatic. For years, people online have called the Black-Eyed Children, or BEC, nothing more than internet folklore, cheap horror, a creepypasta meant to scare bored teenagers at night. I thought the same thing. So I did something stupid. I tried to summon them. And what I found on my living room floor at dawn made me question everything I believed about reality. Since that night, I haven't slept properly, because now I know they exist. They know my name. And worst of all, they know how to get inside, even when the doors are locked. Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Liam. I'm 27 years old, and I live in a small, quiet house on the outskirts of Abilene, Texas. I've always been a logical person, the kind who needs evidence for everything. I'm not spiritual, not superstitious, and definitely not someone who believes in paranormal stories. So when I say I deliberately tried to contact a legendary entity, understand that it came from curiosity and arrogance, the kind of arrogance you get when you think you're smarter than scary stories on the internet. That night taught me something important. There are things logic doesn't protect you from. And Abilene, the town I thought I understood, hides something much darker than I ever imagined. I work from home as a freelance video editor. Most of my life happens behind a screen. Weddings, small documentaries, YouTube content, corporate interviews. I watch other people's lives unfold frame by frame while staying completely detached from them. Quiet work, stable routine, predictable days. At least it was. 3 weeks ago, I received a project request that changed everything. A client hired me to edit a long-form documentary series about the most disturbing American urban legends. Their main topic, the Black-Eyed Children. They sent me hundreds of hours of footage. Interviews, amateur investigations, archived recordings, and form testimonies going back to the late 1990s. At first, I honestly thought it was ridiculous. Just another creepypasta community myth. But the pay was good. Really good. So I started reviewing the material. At the beginning, I treated it like fiction research.
Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Drawings, dramatizations, exaggerated witness accounts, the usual internet horror formula. But as an editor, I have to understand tone and context. So I kept digging. Forums, old message boards, archived local reports, anything referencing early encounters. And that's when I started noticing a pattern. Different people, different years, different backgrounds, yet the descriptions were disturbingly consistent. The same behavior, the same phrases, the same emotion witnesses struggled to describe. Not fear, but pressure, like being psychologically pushed to comply. Then I noticed something worse. A location kept appearing over and over again. Not once, not twice, dozens of times. A place considered one of the earliest clusters of sightings connected to the Black-Eyed Children. And eventually, I realized that location was my town, Abilene, Texas, my home, the place I had lived in for 5 years, completely unaware it was repeatedly mentioned in accounts of one of the most unsettling legends in modern folklore. And that was the moment the project stopped feeling like editing and started feeling like I was being pulled into something. You can probably imagine how I felt at that point. At first, I stayed relaxed. I told myself it was just an interesting coincidence. But then I read that one of the most significant incidents from the 90s happened in a residential area, not far from where I live now, possibly only a few blocks away. That's when the uneasiness started creeping in. It felt like something cold and invisible was watching me from behind the curtains. The house that had always felt safe suddenly carried history,
dark history and a sense of unspoken threat. I kept forcing logic into it. Just coincidence, nothing more. But after weeks of being submerged in the material, my curiosity didn't fade. It intensified. From a rational perspective, I reached a simple conclusion. If the black-eyed children were only an exaggerated urban legend, then nothing supernatural would happen, even if I openly challenged it. That idea gave me a strange, dangerous confidence. I wanted proof. Proof that fear was nothing but psychological suggestion created by media and the internet. And the only way to do that was to try it myself. That night, I decided to run a private experiment. Not for the client, not for publication, just for me.
I wanted to record my own evidence, whether it proved the myth was nonsense, or, in the worst case, that something actually existed. I had no intention of opening the door. My goal was only to observe whether anything in my environment reacted after saying the trigger phrases commonly mentioned in witness accounts. I knew it was stupid, but adrenaline and curiosity had already taken over my thinking. I checked the digital clock on the wall. 2:47 a.m.
For the last 30 minutes, every light in my house had been turned off. I wanted total darkness, relying only on faint moonlight leaking through the curtains. In that darkness, my home felt bigger than it actually was. Too big, and worst of all, empty. Not quiet, empty. Like all living presence had been drained from the wooden walls. The air grew cold. Not air conditioner cold, the kind of cold that feels like it's coming from inside your bones. According to nearly every account I read, there was a specific time connected to sightings. 3 a.m. People call it the witching hour, the moment the world becomes silent enough that human activity fades completely. Supposedly, the boundary between here, our world, and there becomes thin enough for something else to cross. So I waited. Every second felt stretched into minutes. 2:59 a.m. I sat alone in the living room, on the same couch where I normally watched movies to relax. The only light in the room came from a small white candle placed on the coffee table. I cracked open the window beside me on purpose. Cold, dry Texas night air slipped inside, carrying the smell of damp grass and a suffocating silence. I positioned my phone camera out of sight. Not recording video, only audio. I didn't want the glow of a screen interfering with the darkness. And then, the clock changed. 3 a.m. I closed my eyes for a moment and took a slow breath, trying to calm a heartbeat that had already lost its rhythm. This was it. The moment I had been waiting for. Or more accurately, the moment I feared the most. I opened my eyes and stared at the candle flame gently swaying on the table. Then I whispered, just slightly louder than my breathing, "If you're real, come here. I'm curious. Show yourselves." Nothing happened. Silence. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. 30 seconds. The only response was the faint, rhythmic creaking of the old kitchen fan, a reassuring reminder that I was still in a normal house. I almost laughed. Relief flooded in, mixed with embarrassment. I had mentally prepared for something catastrophic. I remember thinking, see? Just an old legend blown out of proportion by the internet. Fear only works if you feed it. I stood up, ready to stop the recording and turn the lights back on. And then I heard it. A tiny sound. Tap. Clear.
sharp. Not wood settling, not pipes shifting. It sounded exactly like a small pebble striking the window beside me. I froze instantly. Every trace of relief vanished, replaced by pure adrenaline. My heartbeat pounded in my ears, and I held my breath. Maybe a nocturnal animal, I thought. A squirrel, a bird, anything normal. Then it came again. Tap, tap, slower, more deliberate, and unmistakably coming from the slightly opened window right next to me, the one covered by a thin beige curtain gently moving in the night air. Slowly, very slowly, I turned my head toward the sound. Behind the curtain, I saw it, a faint silhouette. Small, the height of a child, maybe 8 to 10 years old. It shifted slightly, standing upright, facing directly toward me. Even though I couldn't see a face, I knew it was looking at me. The cold intensified, not from the air anymore, but from fear crawling up my spine. I tried convincing myself it was a tree branch, a shadow, anything logical. My legs felt weak, but I forced myself to stand. My hand trembled. I reached for the curtain and pulled it aside, painfully slow. For a second, I closed my eyes, bracing for whatever might be outside. I opened them. Nothing. Just the empty yard, dark grass moving in the wind, bushes rustling softly, a distant streetlight barely reflecting off the metal fence at the end of the block. I exhaled deeply, overwhelming relief washing over me. Probably just slight distortion or an animal. My head felt dizzy from the spike of fear. I even blamed myself for getting too immersed in the client's material. I reached to close the window, and then it happened again. Tap. But this time, not from the window, from the front door. The thick wooden door. Locked. Then 2 more knocks followed. Knock. Knock. Soft. Patient. Unhurried.
Like someone who knew they had unlimited time and was calmly waiting for me to answer. And somehow, that politeness made it far more terrifying. I forced my legs to move. Step by step, I walked toward the front door. Each footstep on the wooden floor sounded far too loud, echoing unnaturally in the silence. I felt like a slow-moving target. When I reached the door, I positioned myself beside it, not directly in front, instinctively trying to stay out of sight. I gathered what little courage I had. "Who is it?" I asked, but my voice came out dry and weak, barely more than a whisper swallowed by the dark. Several seconds passed. They felt endless. Then finally, a small voice came from the other side of the door. A child's voice. Flat, without rhythm, without emotion. "May we come in?" It didn't sound like a normal child. There was no curiosity, no nervousness, no life in it. It sounded functional, like the voice existed only to deliver a question that required an answer. Silence returned. I couldn't. My mind had locked up. Then a second voice followed. Identical tone, identical emptiness, almost like a recording replayed. "Our father will pick us up. We are cold outside. Can we wait inside for a moment?" The words were polite, but behind them was something unspoken, something threatening. I knew immediately these were not lost children. Without realizing it, my hand had already reached the doorknob. The metal felt painfully cold against my palm, colder than the night air outside. And then I felt it, a pressure inside my head, a subtle push, an urge telling me to turn the handle, to be kind, to let the cold children inside, to forget every horror story I had ever read. I yanked my hand back. No. Instead, I crouched and looked through the peephole, something I normally never used. And that's when I saw them. 2 children, dressed normally like kids you'd see walking home from school during the day. Pale faces, as if they had never seen sunlight.
straight black hair partially covering their foreheads. At first, their heads were lowered. I held my breath. Then slowly, very slowly, they lifted their faces, and my vision blurred from shock. Their eyes, completely black, not shadowed, not dilated pupils, total blackness, no sclera, no iris.
Just two endless voids staring directly into me. Terror locked my body in place. I recognized them instantly, exactly alayhi salam described in the material I'd spent weeks editing. Black-eyed children. They were real, and they were at my door. "Let us in," they said together this time, perfectly synchronized. Their voices sounded closer now, closer, even though the door never opened. My heart slammed violently in my chest. "Who are you?" I asked, even though I already knew. I just needed confirmation. I stepped back from the door, panic rising so sharply my body started shaking. Then they answered, and the blood in my body felt like it stopped moving. "You called us, Daniel." "Daniel? That's not my name. My name is Liam. I never told them my name, and Daniel has nothing to do with me." My mind raced. Did they have the wrong house? Were they trying to scare me with a random familiar name? As the confusion peaked, the living room lights behind me flickered twice, then went out, and at the same moment, the candle on the coffee table extinguished itself. My house was now completely dark, the kind of darkness that feels thick, almost physical. I could only hear my own breathing and the violent pounding of my heart. Then, from behind the wooden door, one last sentence came through, clear, sharp, and more terrifying than anything else they had said. "We only need permission." It wasn't loud, it wasn't aggressive, but it demanded something, and I understood. Giving permission wouldn't just mean opening the door. It would mean giving up everything. I didn't open it. I slowly backed away, treating the door like it was the most poisonous object in the world. I retreated behind the couch and curled up, frozen in fear. Minutes passed, painfully silent minutes. No more knocking, no more voices, just suffocating quiet. I waited until my body finally stopped shaking. Eventually, I forced myself to move. I crawled back toward the door and looked through the peephole again. The street was empty. No figures, no children, nothing but darkness and the fence across the yard. I checked my phone. 3:17 a.m. 17 minutes. It felt like an entire night had passed. I remember whispering to myself, "Okay, Liam, it's over. You did it. They're gone." Relief slowly replaced the adrenaline. I turned around to switch on the living room light, and that's when I saw it.
On the wooden floor, right in the center of the living room, two small footprints, wet, faintly reflecting moonlight from the slightly opened window. They weren't leading outside, they were leading inward. I never opened the door. It was locked. They said they needed permission, but the footprints proved something far worse. They never needed mine. Since that night, I haven't slept normally. I moved out of that house. I refused every project involving urban legends. I still don't know how they entered, and I don't know what they left behind. All I know is this: they aren't a myth. They're real. And Abilene hides more than I ever wanted to believe. I hope you never get curious the way I did. This is the most disturbing experience I've ever lived through. Please, be careful what you challenge. And never try to interact with things you don't understand. If you've heard similar stories, or if anyone else from Abilene has experienced this, leave a comment. Because honestly, I want to know I'm not the only one they visited.